we're going to have a powerful story as we're going to be speaking with Oluwakemi. Yes, Oluwakemi Sheba. And she's all the way in Africa. But it doesn't matter where you are, where you're from. It doesn't matter your race, your ethnicity. You all have stories that can become very inspirational to those who might be going through similar experiences. And so today, Oluwakemi Sheba from Africa is going to share her story with us. And I sincerely hope that you will be inspired, motivated, and engaged. And thank you for choosing this platform.
Thank you, Charlie, for having me. And to the listeners and everyone out there, it's a pleasure being on the show. And I hope that after today's show, my experience will impact one or two people out there and just give somebody hope. Thank you once again, Charlene.
Welcome. And so, as with everything, we start at the beginning. And so, first, I want to get your permission to shorten your name and just to refer to you as Kimi. Would that be okay?
Very well.
Right. All right. And so we start everything at the beginning, Kimi. And so I want you to share with us, a little bit about your life, during your youthful days back in your country, how you grew up, as much of it that you can remember. Tell us about you, how you grew up. What was life like for you?
Okay. I had a really, should I say, okay childhood after the events that happened to me. Growing up, there are a series of events that happened in my home, but it didn't really affect me as a child that way. After I had gotten through the major mishap, I would like to call it a mishap, but I was born into a family of majorly girls. My mom, my dad, and I had a free, bright education growing up, and basically, there's nothing that was so untoward about my childhood. It was pretty pleasant, apart from that major incident that almost went south for me. That's basically it.
Sure, it sounds very short. At what stage in your life, at what age did this major incident happen?
Oh wow, this is a very touchy one. Um, this is way back then. We're talking almost decades and decades ago. I was 4 years old when this I would like to call it a life altering incident happened, and it kind of if I may use the word rearrange, it kind of rearranged my life and just sets the tone for how I grew up and the things that made me become who I am today, both spiritually, physically, academically, and in all spheres. That major incident was just I won't call it a breaking point, but it was a point in my life that just it was just through the help of God I didn't turn my life upside down. I would just like to put it that way.
Said that it happened when you were 4 years old. So practically you had to live your life altering situation, because that's how you call it. And we're going to talk about it, listeners, but we just want to get, an understanding of Kimi's childhood life. And, practically you're saying that you had to live your altered life somewhat Since 4 years to today's date.
Exactly. The image I remember of between 0 to 4, if I can say I remember, is basically one or two pictures
Mhm.
that I see, and when I see them, I still saw them a bit, maybe last week or 2 weeks ago, and it kind of made my eyes water because at times I try to make a connection between Zen and all these years I have grown up, and I can't seem to piece it together. But in as much, here I am today, between 4 and now.
All right. Could you share with us, what was the major incident, as much as you can share, so we can understand what really altered your life? Though it might be positive now, because we want persons to understand that, out of every challenge, you can find that positive ground to stand on. So, what was this major incident that happened to you at 4 years old that changed your life forever?
Oh, I need to catch my breath, but thank you, Shirley. It was on the 21st of December, 1981.
Mhm.
Myself and the members of my family were traveling down to one of the eastern states in Nigeria, and an accident occurred.
Mhm.
And when that accident occurred, as a child, I was standing in the vehicle that I was. I was
Mhm.
holding on. My uncle was driving. My aunt was sitting in front. I was actually in front of my aunt before she felt comfortable, as a little girl, children and squirming around and all that.
Mhm.
As a little girl, she didn't control me in front anymore and
Mhm.
forcefully tried to put me at the back. But even when she did that while the car was still in motion, I I was very, very active as a child. I still refused to sit down. And I held on to my aunt's headrest in front, my uncle's headrest, and boom, it happened. I don't know whether it was speed, I do not know whether it was the road, but the tire of the car burst and I was still standing. Um, Once that happened, the car somersaulted like thrice, and I was flung as a little child with um you know how frail a child can be. I was just a little about 6 days on top of 4 years old. My first birthday was on the 15th of December, 6 days after. I was flung against the windscreen from where I was standing while somersaulted, and I was flung against the windscreen, and that was it. I had cuts and lacerations all over my body and especially on my face. From what I was told and the little I remember, there was blood everywhere. My younger sister was flung out of the car too, but thankfully nothing happened to her. She was found in a nearby bush crying. She was one then. She was found in a nearby bush crying, and the occupants of the car were seven. Were rushed down to University of Benin Teaching Hospital. When we got there, there were no beds. It was 4 days to Christmas. So many casualties were on the floor. But thankfully, my mom's sister that was in the car was conscious. I wasn't conscious as I, when all this has happened because of the huge impact I had taken. She could talk and she just kept on screaming. My brother, because my mom's twin brother, that's my uncle, is a medical doctor. She just kept on screaming. My brother is a doctor. Check his pockets. His ID card is in there. They checked and they saw his ID card. And that was it. They made, I don't know how it happened, but they made space for us. They found beds for us some way, somehow. For the first 3 days after that incident, I couldn't speak. I didn't open my eyes. There was no movement, there was no motion, there was nothing. Both my parents didn't travel with us. They had to call them that this had happened along the way, and they rushed down as soon as they could. Um, my dad told me from the snippets I could remember, and also my dad told me that it was when he came and he touched me that I could open my eyes and look at him. Although my dad said he had a premonition that something was going to happen, and he had entered into some fasting and prayer a few days before we traveled.
Wow.
And he says that he believes that it was just that power that saved me. My dad is late now, but he was a spiritual man, and he had the gift of discernment and premonition. So he just, once he got that revelation, he just entered into prayer. And I want to believe that it was that supernatural connection that he had that eventually saved my life. I was on that bed taking drips. When I look at my arm, I still have some drip marks on my arm because we're looking for where to go all over my body. And it was just so heavy for both of my parents. My mother, I can't remember what it was that was supposed to be done to me, but my mother stood her ground. That whatever was going to become of me, that it should let me be. And she would take me the way I turned out to be. The prognosis was bad. They said there was fluid in my brain. Like the fluid tilted to the particular corner of my brain, that I was going to become a retard. I was going to become a vegetable that would not be useful to myself, my family, or the society at large. But my mother stood her ground and said, no. Whatever this is, she would see it to the end. And that was it. And day after day, I spent a while in the hospital, but day after day, things just, I would want to put it that things became better in quotes, because as long as I didn't die, I would say things became better. And here I am today.
To God be the glory. Yes, to God be the glory. You did say that, when you got to the hospital on the day, you were told, your family were told that there were no space, but because your uncle was a doctor and had his ID on his person, that helped to save your lives.
Exactly. I wonder what would have happened if he did not have his ID card on him. I do not even want to imagine, because we hear such stories. It's
Yes.
happening. That incident is 40 years this year, and it's still happening.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't.
Then you said that the prognosis was that you would have become a vegetable, retard. You would not have any use for self nor anybody else. But your mom stood her ground and said, well, then she's going to be standing by your side, comes what may. And today you're here, very much here. You're not just alive, you're not just talking, but you're a woman of power. You're motivating and inspiring quite a number of persons.